say, look what I can see about you? I mean, what is it that we can do in education that's going to work if it's not scaring them?
Well, what I think is a great contribution of the research that was presented today is that it quantifies something that we've talked about in a more diffuse way. But you're also right that we're talking about a long-term impact, and when you're talking about young people, that's not always what's in their mind. I'll probably pitch the NetCetera guide in every response I'll have today, and so I'll get to the general points about that in a minute. But one of the things that we've done with NetCetera, which provides advice to parents who are still very critical sources of information and guidance for young people, whether they feel they are or not, is that in addition to these long-term effects, there's more immediate effects. Your reputation as, say, a high school student is very important to you. There's very few people that are more focused on what people think of them than a young person in high school. And so in addition to the risk that you don't get a job, there's the risk that posting something unwisely will make you look bad to your immediate circle of friends, adults in your life, or make you look like a bad person. And so we've given parents the tools to talk to young people in their lives, whether it's their kids or other kids that they work with, about their values. We're not telling them what their values are, but we're telling them that having an online persona that reflects your values is important to you, not just as a member of a family, but as an individual. If you do something that makes you look bad or that makes somebody else feel bad, that affects how people in your real life are going to feel about you.
Well, let's worry about ourselves for a couple of minutes and leave the kids to their own devices. I was reviewing the study last night, and Brendan, I don't know if you flashed this in the screen. If not, people should take a look at it. And when they broke down, when the researchers from Microsoft broke down, what is it that about viewing the user's profile, gave you pause or led to you rejecting the candidate. One of the questions here was, inappropriate comments written by the candidate, so I get that. But another category was inappropriate comments or text written by colleagues or work acquaintances, and 40% rejected people because of stuff other people wrote on their wall. Now, the reason this struck me was that when I got home late last night, I had missed, I was at the Net Caucus thing like a lot of you. I had missed a lot of the iPad news, and so I wanted to check out, what was the reception. And, of course, all of my friends, like many of yours, were joking about the name. And there was a raging discussion of all kinds of jokes amongst all of our, senior and important privacy friends joking about the iPad. And I saw a kind of funny joke that one of my friends said. She said, did you hear, Time magazine is going to have a special version for the iPad. It's going to be called Time of the Month. And I'm like, that's cute. I'll post that on the, I'll jump into this discussion that a bunch of the privacy folks were having. And so, here's what so-and-so said, ha-ha. And, people say, ouch, that's terrible. And then I read this here, inappropriate. And so, what are you to do? It's one thing if you behave, but do we have to worry about who our friends are? There's a company in California that I read, which has a product that helps companies market about who might be a good credit customer. And so it's not technically, FIC recovered data, but it's who might be. And it does it by rating your friends. And evidently, if your friends are deadbeats, you're not a pretty good prospect for them to market to. And so I'm thinking, wait a second. I got to worry about my friends' credit, capabilities, or it will impact whether I get the premium, Amex offer, or do I need to worry about someone else making a silly and inappropriate joke on my wall? What are we to do? We don't want to be zombies. We kind of want to. I want to tell jokes. I want to make the silly jokes that most people won't make in front of a big audience. I certainly want to make those at least online with my pals. Do I have to worry constantly that I got to be on my best behavior? That would be a dull Jules.
So one of the things that I think we'll see, and this is not at all to diminish the importance of educating people about how things work in the world today, but what we'll see is a change in social mores where the ability to maintain taboos is going to drop. We're all going to live in a smaller, more close-knit community because lots more information about us will be available. Many years ago, when I was just sort of getting started in privacy, someone contacted me very concerned that people posting their resumes on Monster.com would post those resumes would be available, ad infinitum, forevermore. And I couldn't find myself concerned about that, because if somebody, when you are 45, is considering your low high school GPA, well, they have a problem. And the employers that might do that, they're going to be shooting themselves in the foot. And so over time, I'm not saying this will happen quickly. And again, I don't think it's people should act as if taboos are going to go away. Over time, though, the society will recognize that youngsters do stupid things. Even professionals tell awkward, funny jokes. And the broader, deeper social changes will go on in light of this stuff. And so and that'll accommodate this problem, along with people's behavior coming into line with the realities of the social networks and internet generally.
So do you think that's so, that the Facebook and MySpace generation isn't going to be shocked by the bong beer party of their friends, and they'll hire each other, and this will all dissipate?
Well, it's interesting you took that perspective, because that's what these students did. The students that were working on their master's in counseling, they said, "Oh, that's just not fair." And there's this shock. Someone's going to read that. It could potentially impact where I'm hired. And then there was this discussion about, well, over time, it'll mean less and less. And I said, well, that probably is very true over time. But you're living right now, and you're competing for a job in 18 months. So in those 18 months, what can you do with your online reputation that will make it an asset? Increase your odds of being hired rather than being a liability. Well, they'll choose someone else next to you, and they were like, oh, okay.
I think that when you post something online, it speaks to two things. It speaks to what you did and also your judgment. And so I think that the social norms about judgment and posting may change, that you've shared something. But if you've done something that people find to be offensive or horrible, if you tell a offensive joke online, that's still going to be a window to what's going on in the person's mind. So I think some of those values are going to continue to be the values. They may be the difference between being a 40-year-old and being a 17-year-old in terms of what you think is appropriate. But I don't think that's going to change. I think what's likely to change is whether people share information. So your question about associations is really interesting, because if your friend does something that you find offensive, what does that mean? And I don't think we have the answer for that.
I think that's a great distinction, Nat. And the fact that my Twitter account is locked down shows that I have the good judgment not to share my terribly inappropriate thoughts.
Well, some of the
Sure, they're not that terrible.
You know how to lock it down. That means someone educated you on your privacy.
True.
Very good.
Well, some of the regulators around the world would like social networking sites to tell users, hey, before you post a picture of someone else, get their permission. And in fact, is it Flickr now that rolled out tagging and actually says, here, put in the email address of the person you're tagging, and we'll send them, permission. A couple of, general sites have started doing that. And of course, you can get around it easily. Send the email to yourself, and, how do they know? But kind of at least setting up a structure where someone is saying, oh, do I just put stuff up, or do I think? Are there company solutions to this? Is it forcing people or warning them or saying, listen, I post pictures of my kids, and I try to keep it to a family group, but my wife is constantly, what are you doing that for? I'm like, because I want people to see it. We're on vacation. I want everyone to see. And she's much more reserved than I, and we have different values, and we've got to work it out sometimes, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But given that we in the world, let alone in a family, have different values. Hey, it's fun. It was a party. What are you worrying about? Do we need the companies giving, policing us, warning us, giving us tools? Should Victor Mayer Schomburger did this great book that many of you I'm sure have read called Delete, and he talks about how in the old days, you did something stupid, it was forgotten by everybody by the time you were, grown up, or if you left or something. And today, you do a stupid thing, and it is there for the rest of your life, recorded and electronic. Do we have to accept this default that all data is there forever and can be used against us, or should we be focusing a bit more on effective ways to make it disappear? You know what? The time for that teen profile to zap, and can the data wherever it's been dispersed, and obviously challenging to do, but should we be building technical things that put people a little bit more in control of this, particularly since I feel we're looking at it as Facebook and MySpace and social networks, but it's everything we do now, right? It's just interacting. So it's not behave when you go online. It's, you're texting, you're talking, things are being recorded, we're being streamed, right now, in a world where my power company is going to have